What is up, guys? My name is Rice. Welcome back to the channel. Today is a brand new video. We've got some special guests as well. It is the Habs off season. We're going to start slowly shuttering away from the non-hockey content. Figured why not? Let's have some fun today. Let's bring on some of the boys from the Hab Normals podcast and the Pucking Around podcast. Over in the top left, we've got my boy Rick, and we've got up and in the top right, we've got my long-lost brother from another mother, Matt. Nordy is up there. How are you guys doing?
Great. You know what? I'm thinking of Tony the Tiger. Great till he's lost.
Today, we're coming to you guys over here on the Harry Rice Hockey channel. You guys, by the way, might know Matt and Rick if you guys check out the Hab Normals podcast and or the Pucking Around podcast. You guys, if you haven't, great podcast. I'm not just saying that because I'm on there.
Or Talking Habs.
Or you might know them from Talking Habs. That is very true. You might know them from there. But if you haven't checked out those podcasts, I will link Rick and Matt's channel in the description, both the Talking Habs and the Don't Puck With Media channel, as well as the Spotify. You guys can go follow them and subscribe to them on all of those platforms. It'd be much appreciated. Support your boy. Support these lovely boys. Today, however, it's some non-hockey content. We're doing our top 5 favorite movies. How we're going to be doing this is we're not going through our list straight up 5 through 1 and the next person. I'm going to give my 5. Rick will give his number 5. Matt will give his number 5. Go through that for 4, 3, 2, 1. Give some honorable mentions. Yeah, we're just going to straight up rank them. We're not going to waste any more time. I think we should get right into it. What do you guys think?
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
All right. So, like I said, I'm going to do my number 5 first. Then we'll go to Rick and then Matt. My number 5. I was torn between a couple options here. One of them, obviously, I'll mention in the honorable mentions. But I ultimately made a last-second decision to go with this one just because I feel like I like it just slightly more than the one I would have originally gone with, and that is Shaun of the Dead. This is a 2004 horror comedy from 2004. Oh, Rick's actually heard of it.
Oh,
wow.
Sure. I think my two oldest, I think that's like their favorite, or one of them for sure. Shaun of the Dead. Zach lives with me. It's one of his favorites.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, absolutely
funny.
Hilarious movie.
It's so funny.
Let him talk.
Big is the man.
Oh, yeah. This is a film directed by Edgar Wright. If you guys haven't heard of him, he directed other movies with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, the two main stars of this film. He did Hot Fuzz and The World's End. He also did Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which weirdly seems to be his most popular film. And people don't know that he's done movies like this. He also did Last Night in Soho recently with Anya Taylor-Joy. But this was his first feature film. It's a zombie horror comedy about Shaun, played by Simon Pegg. Hilarious, always. Doesn't help that he has a phenomenal script, so he's even more funny. A script that he co-wrote, by the way, with Edgar Wright, and I believe Nick Frost as well.
Yeah.
He has a pretty bad day. His girlfriend ends up dumping him. He's kind of aimless in life, and also doesn't help. The zombie apocalypse also happens. So he has to try and protect his best friend, his girlfriend, and her 2 friends, and find somewhere safe for them to go and survive the zombie apocalypse. It's a hilarious film. A lot of people consider it a horror comedy, a horror romantic comedy. I consider it more of a straight horror comedy. I feel like the romantic aspect is played down a bit, but it's a hilarious film. It's one of those movies that the dialogue, stuff you don't think is going to come back from the first act, it comes back. It feels like every line of dialogue in this film is written to be reincorporated. Seriously, watch this movie if you've never seen it before. Forget about what I just said, and just watch it. Go back and watch it a second time, and your mind is going to be blown. This is one of the smartest comedies I feel like I've ever seen. It's hilarious. It's British, so you know it's going to be good. Yeah, Shaun of the Dead. Just I've seen this movie countless times. I feel like I can quote it front to back almost. Nick Frost has to be the standout. He plays Ed, Shaun's best friend.
He's so funny in everything he's in.
Oh yeah. Nick Frost and Simon Pegg are 2 guys who can be in a really bad movie. They're almost like Tim Curry to a certain degree, where they'll be in a movie and it gets 2 stars, and they're the reason it gets those 2 stars.
Yeah.
And just incredible. My number 5, Shaun of the Dead. All right, Rick. We're moving over to you now.
All right. Yeah. So I've got, and you can see over here, it's there for a reason, The Godfather. It's a crime drama.
It made my list too. Not in this place, but it did make my list too.
It's from 1972. I didn't see it in 72. I saw it in, I think, actually when it came out on TV. So I'm not exactly sure what year. It's R-rated, so I guess from the time. It's funny because there's another movie that I have in my honorable mentions, and it's PG, and this is R-rated, and I don't know why one is PG. Anyway, we were talking about that earlier. All right, The Godfather. Great cast. A great cast. You got Marlon Brando, Al Pacino in basically his first big role. It's what made him. Talia Shire, who played Rocky, it was Rocky's wife or girlfriend, and Robert Duvall, an actor I love.
James Caan, too.
Great direction from Francis Ford Coppola. The cinematography, the violence, because we all love to see the violence on screen. Just really great for its day. So now, I don't know if you know this movie. It's called St. Valentine's Day Massacre. It's a little bit earlier than that. And there's a scene, I saw this, I don't know, when I was pretty young, where they line everybody up on the wall and they just kill them, right? And that just really stuck with me. And because of that, I really was interested in The Godfather, even at a young age, because of that kind of thing, I guess.
And that movie, that did happen, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Yes, it's based on a real story. Yeah, that's right.
I've
so I was fascinated, I guess, with organized crime. Who isn't, as a kid, violence and killing? Why is that? It makes sense. I don't know. If you want to know more about The Godfather, there's a TV series, one season, called The Offer. Like, unbelievably good. And it kind of gives all the background on how they got this movie made, and it's really interesting. Like I said, the emergence of Al Pacino in here. So it's about a crime family I don't know where they are, actually. I don't think it's
one of the 5 families in New York.
And it's basically about this one family, the boss, the Don. And it's more, though, about Al Pacino's character, the son, and how he goes from being this like hero in the army, that type of guy, and do-gooder and all that, and he takes over, and he becomes the Don, and maybe even more ruthless than his dad, and that kind of stuff. And it's kind of that, just a big saga sweeping over the years, and just a great story, and just really well shot with all the great actors. I don't know, it's just a movie. I think if you watch it, if you haven't seen it, you're gonna like it, because it's just quality, I don't know what else to say about it, but The Godfather was a great movie. There were 2 others. Second, Godfather 2 and Godfather 3. Godfather 2 was really good. Godfather 3, not very good.
No, you're absolutely right. And I'll go into this more when it comes up on my list too, but like Al Pacino's performance in that movie, just his acting alone is why I put it on my list. It's high up on my list.
The people who backed the movie did not want Al Pacino.
I know. They also almost got in trouble with the mob when they tried to make it.
Yeah, the producer had to fight to get Al Pacino, and I mean, who else could have been in that role, really? Right?
Right. No, exactly. It's one of those things where you watch the movie, you're like, I can't picture anybody else in this role. Or when you hear like, yeah, so and so was up for it, and you're like, no. Like,
you can't. Yeah, it was Al Pacino, and they didn't want him. I don't know. I don't remember why. He was really young, hadn't done anything really, and I think because back in those days, there was still racism everywhere, and I think the Italians were still getting picked on back then. I think that's one of the reasons.
The mob was still in its heyday too. Like I know, and I'll go kind of into this more when it comes up on my list. But there was some problems with the mafia.
Yeah,
the mafia didn't want certain things.
They didn't want it to be a mafia movie. They said they agreed to let it happen and let the movie go on as long as they would take out the word mafia in the movie. And so he agreed, the producer, and made a big show about it. Yeah. And the truth was, they were only going to say it once, I think, in the movie, and they just had to take that out. And otherwise, they were going to have big problems with the actual mob. So, yeah, very interesting. Anyway, I don't know what else to say about it. So,
yeah,
Matt, you're up.
Yeah. For me, for my number 5 on my list, I went with Blade Runner. Now, Blade Runner, it's again, I didn't see it when it came out because I wasn't alive. But it's just a movie that I saw first in a film studies course, actually, when I was in high school. and I watched it a few more times after that, and the gist of it is it takes place way in the future, and it's about these like human cyborg hybrids that for whatever reason they went bad, and Harrison Ford's character is called the Blade Runner. Basically, his job is to go out and eliminate these. I forget was it duplicate? I forget what they actually called.
Oh, something like that, though. Yeah, something.
It was like a duplicate or something like that, and there were different ways they would kind of weed them out. And the lighting, the cinematography in this movie is fantastic. The story is really good, and I loved all the actors' performances. For me, though, Rutger Hauer, I think, stole the show at the end.
Yeah, at the end, that monologue
with his monologue, and for me, that put it right on this list for me. That monologue is one of the best I've ever seen in any movie. Just the way he delivered it, the emotion, just overall, it's just fantastic. It is based on a book too, which is really good.
If you kind of know who Rutger Hauer is, but you're not, go watch that, and I think you become a bigger fan of his after seeing that scene.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love Edward James Olmos' character in this too. I thought it was really cool. Just a really cool kind of background character, but like throughout the movie, it's kind of suspenseful, and it's just really cool. And like I said, I love the sci-fi genre. Just a really, really good movie. I mean, if you're a Harrison Ford fan, I'm sure you've seen it. If not, you need to see it. The second one was okay, but the first one is always going to be a classic.
You're talking about the remake in the
It's a sequel. 2040 Blade Runner 2049. It was a sequel.
Yeah, I didn't see that, oddly, but I heard it wasn't great, so that's why I didn't see it.
It was okay. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the first one. I mean, the first one is one of those films you can't top it. But you really should go see this. Like I said, if you're a sci-fi fan, if you're a Harrison Ford fan, or if you just really like movies, I think it's one that you need to see.
Yeah, I think so. And like I said, if you kind of know who Rutger Hauer is, but not exactly, you'll. Because he's a good actor and he's very underrated. And you'll see why in that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, good choices in this first round there, boys.
Yeah, I'd say so. Absolutely. We got some big hitters and The Godfather, of course. I don't think many people know what that movie is, but
I would think maybe a lot of people haven't seen it, but they know what the movie is.
I was joking, but yeah, no.
I mean, even if you like, I mean, it's one of those movies where, like, even if you know like some of the actors, even you know what the movie is. I mean, if you're like like myself, kind of like it's kind of like a movie historian or buff. Like it's one of those movies that's always kind of at the top of the list of like movies I'd recommend to see just for different things.
It's important to the film.
If you do like The Godfather but haven't seen The Offer, then you should see that. I don't, you search it out. It's out there but you should see it. It is fantastic. It's Miles Teller and the British girl there. I can't remember her name. Temple, Juno Temple.
Juno Temple.
I mean, it's just such a fantastic series based on a fantastic movie that you should see it.
Mm-hmm. Based on, from what I've heard, is a pretty fantastic book as well.
Yeah, I didn't read the book.
And I have the book too. It's still I have to unpack it, but
I never read it. I used to have it, but I never read it. Mario Puzo. All right.
So for number 4, my number 4 is a movie that it's going to be tough for me to explain this because I'll be honest, I have no idea how to fully talk about the plot. I'm going to say right out, this is a Paul Thomas Anderson film, so I think people who know Paul Thomas Anderson are going to know. It's pretty tough to explain one of his films. But I'm picking Punch Drunk Love. I know some people might expect me to have picked Boogie Nights or maybe Inherent Vice. Sorry, Rick?
I think I've seen that.
Yeah. So firstly, this is an Adam Sandler film. People are probably going to be a little shocked, given how much I talk about how much I love Adam Sandler. They probably expected Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore here, and I love those films. I love Adam Sandler overall. But for me, his dramatic stuff is just top notch. I love Uncut Gems. I've heard Reign Over Me is great, but this is his best performance easily, in my opinion. This movie stars Adam Sandler. Like we said, he plays a man named Barry Egan, I believe. He's kind of socially awkward. He runs this bathroom supplies store, kind of. It's not really that successful. And he's just kind of living life, not really doing all that
He's got
much.
emotional issues, no? Emotional?
Yeah. He's like mentally abused by his sisters or something like. I think 6 sisters, I think something like that. And he ends up meeting this girl. I believe Lena is her name, played by Emily Watson, fantastic actor. She's in a lot of really, really good stuff. This being one of the few things that she's in, or one of the few things I could name that she's in. But yeah, and it basically just kind of just evolves from there. Adam Sandler's character is also getting scammed by a sex hotline, and the owner of which is played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, phenomenal actor as well.
Yeah.
And like it just kind of shows their love really for each other in different ways. It's a great film overall. There's a theory out there that Adam Sandler's character is meant to represent Superman and Lena represents Lois Lane, which there's an odd amount of actual like good evidence to back that claim up, weirdly enough. But it's a great film overall. It's a very much a character study. I can't recommend it enough to people who just love seeking out films. It's one of those movies that you watch once and you're going to be enamored by it. The visuals are fantastic. I wish I had the Criterion Collection Blu-ray because this movie would look phenomenal in 1080p in Blu-ray quality. It's a beautifully directed film.
A small independent.
Nobody feels out of place.
It's kind of like it was an independent film, I think.
Yeah, filmed like it was an independent movie. Yeah, it was kind of big, not necessarily big budget, but it was a Hollywood film put up by Columbia.
Like an indie movie,
very well known.
Like an indie movie.
It's basically like an indie. It's a big budget indie movie, basically.
Am I right? Did he get nominated for that role? For something?
I'm looking on
maybe
the back
not an Academy Award. It might not have been an Academy Award, but one of the. I think he got nominated somewhere for that.
I know for sure he did. This did win Best Director prize at the 2002 Cannes Festival, which well deserved. Again, this is one of those films. If you're someone who disrespects Adam Sandler, you don't like his comedic stuff, watch him in this, and you will find a new amount of respect for him. You will, I think, at the very least, appreciate his acting in this film. It's a film that very much does rely on his character being believable, and he plays it to the best of his ability, which is pretty damn good in my opinion. Punch Drunk Love comes in at number 4. Please check that out if you haven't already. And as well, if you enjoy the movie, pick up the 2-disc special edition DVD. A lot of special features. It's well worth the money. It's like $10 on eBay. Pick it up. Great DVD, by the way.
Yeah, and it's, you know what, when you think of Adam Sandler, you don't think of him as a dramatic actor at all. He's had a couple of movies where I don't know how many, but he's a very good actor. And you know, a lot of comedians, you know, you can point at Robin Williams. A lot of comedians are really good dramatic actors.
Yep.
And you don't realize that, you know, and this, you know, here's Adam Sandler kind of, you know, showing his, you know, his chops, his acting. Chops, that he's not just a comedy actor.
Yeah, like and real quick before you do move on, I want to say if you do like Punch Drunk Love, Reign Over Me is another one he did that was dramatic. Uncut Gems, The Merowitz Stories, new and selected. Even if I didn't care for it much, I believe it's called Spaceman. It just came out on Netflix. It's kind of boring, but Adam Sandler's very, very solid in that. Those are all great dramatic roles that Adam Sandler's done. I will also like to give a special shout out to Airheads from '94. Very funny movie that Adam Sandler's in. That movie does not get enough love.
I sort of remember that.
Yeah, that's where they hold up the radio station because they're trying to get the record played. Yeah, really funny movie. Love that movie.
I remember that.
All right, Rick.
I'd like to hear Adam Sandler was in that. I don't remember him being in that.
Yeah, he was the third guy. He has the cut off shirt. He's the kind of dumb one. Yeah,
I remember that him being in there because I saw it. Yeah. It was on the pay-per-view at that time, or pay TV. It was when pay TV first came out. All right, am I up next?
Yes, sir. All right, you are.
So mine is gonna surprise everyone if you know me, and it's a musical. That's not the surprise part. It's from 1973. My dog's probably gonna bark. Her version of singing, I guess. 1973. It's a G-rated movie because it is called Jesus Christ Superstar.
The musical is very good. Like the Broadway one. Really?
No, not this is the movie. The movie is the
no.
one
I know you're talking about the movie. I'm just saying though, like the musical too that this is based off of is very, very good.
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's a British can't remember the guy's name who did it, but very, very big name of the writer.
Yeah, it's
can't remember his name. Anyway, but it started out with a British
same guy that did Phantom and a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and then they did it for the movie. It was an American-made movie, and that's what I saw. I saw it in '73 when it came out. My sister took me to it, and even back then, when I was 10 years old, I went back and saw it. I think 2 more times that summer. I've seen this movie 175 times last time I counted, so I've seen it a lot.
The music's awesome.
So now listen. I'm an atheist, as we all know. I'm an atheist. That's why it would surprise you. But you know, I have a bit of a fascination with that time period and religion. I think Jesus himself, in general, weird. But it comes from when I was a young kid. I went to there's a museum here in Montreal on Queen Mary and Cote-Neige. It was I can't remember the name of the museum, but the scene it was in the basement. It was dark, and it was where the lions were eating the Christians, and that stayed with me for it stayed with me, and somehow became like it was something to do with Jesus.
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
So that's why I think I liked the movie when I was that age. But I really like the music. The music is the big thing for me.
Fantastic.
Great music. It's my era of rock and roll. I think 2 big hits actually that were on the charts from that. Yvonne Elliman, who played Mary Magdalene, she had at least 1, but I think 2 hits from there. The movie soundtrack from the movie is better than the stage play soundtrack. So the singers, I think they're better. I think they did it better, the Americans. But in the pinch, I will listen to the other one, definitely. Let's see. It's a great story, but remember, it's only a story. And I do mean that about the Bible, right? Because it's based on this stuff from the Bible. That's how I feel about it. Ted Neely, who played Jesus, perfectly cast looks-wise and had a great voice. So perfectly cast. Because if you look at him and go, oh, yeah, that's Jesus, right? No doubt. Now, the character I sympathized with. Okay, first I'm going to show you. Here's Ted Neely, right? Looks like Jesus, right?
Yeah, cool Jesus.
Cool Jesus from the 70s, right? So, but the character that I identified with was him, Judas. You can say, why did I identify with Judas? I think it's specific to the movie, and the movie's not directly from the Bible, right? It's a hippies version of that event, in the Bible. Just what he was trying to do seemed more honest than what Jesus was doing. You have to watch it to know what I mean, but I sympathize with Judas. Now, here's an interesting thing from the movie. This guy here, his name in the movie is Phil Tobias, but he's really Paul Thomas, the porn actor.
Oh, God.
Huh. He went from Jesus Christ Superstar into porn and became a big porn actor, Paul Thomas. So I don't know a lot of people know that.
I thought you were going to say Paul Thomas Anderson. I was just like, what the fuck?
No. So, and then there were just some scenes from, they used, there were tanks, there were airplanes, and it was a different version of the telling of Jesus Christ. But I mean, that was my favorite song in the movie. But that's my favorite character. I just identified with him. I don't know, just what he was bringing across made more sense to me than what Jesus was doing. Standouts in the movie, Ted Neely, Jesus, Carl Anderson played Judas, and then Josh Mostel, whose father was a big comedian back in those days. He played King Herod, and it was funny. That scene was funny when they bring Jesus to King Herod anyways. So if you haven't seen it, and I don't know how you might not have because they bring it out every Easter, but if you haven't and you like musicals and you like 70s rock, check it out.
If you're a fan of Andrew Lloyd Webber, who wrote
Andrew Lloyd Webber. Yeah.
Musical, yeah.
And he did all kinds of stuff.
I mean, Phantom of the Opera is my favorite musical.
Yeah,
just Lloyd Webber. I mean, just the I think his only dud, honestly, for me, is Cats. I never liked Cats.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, just
one last interesting
banger
thing.
after banger after banger.
Back when this came out, I don't know the popularity because it was like, oh, it's against religion because it was a hippies version of it. And but now they'll play it on Easter on TV, and it's like a big thing, like Jesus Christ Superstar. But back when I was seeing it for the first time, it was kind of like frowned upon by religious people. Just so you know. That's it.
I kind of now that I know that actor became a porn star too, it's kind of funny that they played that on Easter.
He played Peter too. He played Peter. So, he sings in there. He's one of the 12 disciples. Yeah, it's funny that he turned out to be a porn actor. I guess you know what? Not a great actor. Couldn't get work. He said, "Well, it's two things I like: acting and sex. I'll do it."
Oh,
all right, that's mine.
All right, for me, and I'm wearing the shirt. It's Halloween, 1978. I'm a big horror movie fan, kind of a horror junkie, and for me, like this movie kind of started it all, right? Especially when you think about the classic horror movies, all the Wes Craven stuff. I know this is John Carpenter, but this kind of opened the doors for a lot of that stuff to kind of
can I just
really
say this?
pop.
When that came out, didn't Friday the 13th and like
it was right after that,
right at the same time.
Halloween was 78. Friday the 13th was 80, I think.
Oh, okay. I thought it was around. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so it was right after that, right?
Yeah.
And, I think for me, it was the tune at the beginning, the music, right? Like whenever I think about October, whenever I think about the actual day, and it's not, no pun intended, because it's the name of the movie, but like that music's just synonymous with horror, with Halloween, and obviously this is Jamie Lee Curtis's coming out party. This movie, I thought she was fantastic as Laurie Strode. And again, like I mean, today if you watch it, it's not that scary, but like back then, I mean, it was pretty freaky. And it's just a classic. It's a mainstay of horror, and I know Halloween 2018 was pretty good. The subsequent two sequels to that weren't. But in terms of in terms of really starting the genre off, it's one of my all-time favorite movies and my favorite horror movie of all time. I can watch it all the time.
A funny thing from that one, Donald Pleasance, who played the doctor.
Yeah, he didn't want to do it.
He did not want to do that. He did not have a good time. He hated it, and yet he still did a good job.
Yeah, I mean that's Donald Pleasance. I mean, anyone who doesn't know Donald Pleasance, I mean, he was a superstar back in the day.
But he didn't like the director.
Right.
He did not get along with was it
John Carpenter?
John Carpenter. He did not. They did not get along. Yes, and he did not want to do it. He got forced into it. That's an interesting fact.
Right, and also obviously with Jamie Lee Curtis playing Laurie Strode, that was also kind of the emergence of the Scream Queen.
Yep.
Sort of
true.
Character.
Yeah.
Right. And again,
Some
Jamie
people
Lee
would point
Curtis
to Janet Leigh though.
Star after this. So again, another one of these movies that really kind of led to a booming career for its star.
Yes. Yeah, great. And I like Jamie Lee Curtis. She was a good actress. I like that movie, Halloween, when it came out. I was really into horror movies back then, so definitely that was a good one.
It made you jump like that Friday the 13th.
It didn't, but the funny thing is that movie was filled with a lot of those kind of jump scares.
No, it was. Right? And it was a low budget
blood.
movie, but they did a very, very good job.
Very little blood, if I'm correct, right? Like that in Friday the 13th, they didn't really show the blood very much. If I'm correct.
Right, no, and there was a lot of implied violence, which again was good though. They did it very, very well.
No, it was well done. And listen, it's a classic. It's a classic for a reason.
Oh yeah.
And I will say one thing I like about Jamie Lee Curtis, she's never afraid to do the Halloween movies. Go back to her roots. She's not afraid. Call her up. Hey, Jamie, you want to do another one? Yeah, sure. She did Resurrection and H2O, I think, as well.
She's one of those actresses that definitely has a sense of humor about herself and isn't afraid to, be like that, at all. Yeah. And she wasn't afraid to show her boobs in, what was it?
True Lies?
No, not True Lies. No, with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, Trading Places.
Trading Places, maybe.
Oh my God, that's one of the big highlights of that movie.
Yeah, that's when she's in there. Trading Places, yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I don't mean to downplay. She's
Friggin' Rick.
really great actress, but she's got a great sense of humor, like a sense of herself that I like. That's very pleasant and not all full of herself. It's one of the things I like about her.
Mm-hmm.
My dog agrees.
Yeah. All right. Coming in minute, I will say I'm not a huge fan of Halloween. I think the third is the best. Well, let's move on to number 3. All right. So we don't need to discuss about.
It had nothing to do with it. It was a totally different movie. It was stupid.
That's what makes it good. There's no unrealistic serial killers, just unrealistic Halloween masks.
Well, no, in 1978 though, right? But if you think about it at that time, someone like Michael Myers
could have happened. Yeah,
could have. You know what I mean? Could have been a thing. And I think that was a lot of what scared people about that movie.
Yeah, it was.
Because anybody could have grabbed the mask like that and like.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like I said, it just wasn't all that scary. I respect it for what it did. I just wasn't a huge fan.
It's a classic.
Well, you know what? If you see it,
boom.
Seeing it 30 years later or something, sure.
Well, yeah,
it's not.
But yeah, I can imagine it was
back
really
in the
scary
day.
in 78.
Back in the day, no, that was a good horror movie.
Yeah.
That was a good horror movie.
Like I said, I respect what it does, and it definitely gives a Halloween vibe. It's just not personally one that I'll go back and watch a whole lot though.
You know, definitely
Halloween, and it takes place on Halloween night.
Right.
Oh yeah, I'd hope it gives the Halloween vibe if that's the case.
Yeah, like it's just one of those things. It's just whatever. I can't think about the holiday or just the month of October without thinking about this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
How it ushered in.
That's fair.
Friday the 13th.
Sure.
Right.
No, I agree.
So the movies that you think about, Candyman.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're down to number 3.
Right. Yeah. My number 3 is no pun intended, but it's kind of a 3-on-1. I couldn't decide between which one of these I like the most, so I just got to put them all in here.
3-on-1. That's porn. You're talking about porn now.
Sorry. I mean, we could do that if we want, but I don't think that's gonna get monetized. But
no, it's
not. But it's a 3-in-1 film series that I'm talking about. Anyone who knows me and has seen my channel before, know I love this series, and like I said, I can't choose which one I love the most. We're talking the Back to the Future trilogy.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely love these.
Great stuff.
Classic film.
I don't think I've ever met anyone who doesn't love these movies. This is one of the most well-known films of all time.
No, there's something wrong with you. At least the first one. I mean, the first one's a classic.
I saw that in a drive-in.
Oh shit! Oh, yep. I love that. Love that.
Yep.
I can literally just hold
Rick is very old.
In case you can't tell.
I think there's like 1 or 2 left. There's not many drive-ins anymore.
Oh no, unfortunately. I could just hold this up. I could. If I
no, apparently you can.
Yeah, apparently not. I can try to hold this up and just say Back to the Future. Rick, what's your number 3? And people would understand. But for the sake of being consistent, if you don't know the plot of this movie, Marty McFly's a teenager. He hangs around with a guy, Doc Brown. He's kind of crazy. Not many people really think that he's an actual scientist, but it turns out he's created a time machine using a very fashionable DeLorean. Because if you're going to go back in time, why not do it in some style?
I can interject for a second. I actually it's a pretty cool story about that. So my film studies teacher in high school had a friend who owns one of the DeLoreans they used in the movie. I got to sit in it.
Oh, shit, did you?
So cool. It was so cool.
Oh, shit. Matt Norton might have sat his ass down where Michael J. Fox 40 years ago sat his ass down.
It was super cool. Like, they brought it to the high school. Like, it was really cool to see it. It's so cool.
Oh, shit. I can imagine that must have been pretty cool. Holy shit. Oh, shit. Yeah. So Doc Brown, he's made a time machine, and he did something where he stole some plutonium from some Libyans. I don't want to go into the whole plot details, but stole some plutonium, and there's some I was gonna say Uranians, Libyans. There's some Libyans coming after him. He gets shot. Marty gets in the DeLorean and drives off, but turns out he kind of time traveled back to 1955. and he's got to figure out how to get back.
I think it had to get up to what, 80 miles an hour to
88 miles per
80,
hour. Yeah,
yeah,
88 miles per hour.
William Nylander's number.
Oh yeah. And he's got to figure out how to get back in time with the help of Doc Brown. 30 years before he invented time travel.
Really needs to go back in time and say, "Don't draft me, Toronto! Don't draft me!"
Oh yeah.
Plus, he meets his mother.
Oh yeah, he meets his mother.
Yeah.
He falls in love with him. He tries to get his parents' marriage back together.
No, and the mother's attracted to him. So you didn't say this. It's the beginning of all those mom and stepmom porn videos.
You could say that, weirdly enough. And that's just the plot of the first one. The second one, they go forward to 2015. They have to stop something from happening to Marty's son. And then the third one, they go back to 1885. Very westerny. Love all three of them. Just a fantastic trilogy of films. If you don't love at least the first one, like Matt said, there's something wrong with you. If you like all three, that's ideal. Yeah, Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox is synonymous with the role for a reason. He's fantastic. Christopher Lloyd as well. He is great in anything he's in, but this film really is like the top of his game. Leah Thompson, Tom Wilson, not the hockey player, great as Marty's mom and Biff Tannen, respectively. Even I believe it's Crispin Glover who plays Marty's dad. He's hilarious. Everybody in this film plays it great. And as well, like a Punch Drunk Love, I'd have to recommend the DVD set here, the 25th anniversary. Absolutely loaded up with special features, tons of them, but behind the scenes, stories about the film, deleted scenes, commentaries. It's got everything you want out of a DVD set. Check out the movies, buy the DVD. Support artists. That's all I gotta say. Rick, what's your number 3?
Fun fact about that: it was a different actor. Instead of Michael J. Fox, he had no pizzazz in the role. Can't remember his name. Stoltz.
Eric Stoltz. Eric Stoltz. Yeah.
Eric Stoltz. And he just so they got Michael.
He was playing it completely straight.
But Michael J. Fox was filming Family Ties, his TV show, during the day and couldn't get away from that. So they filmed that at night.
Yeah, and originally
Family Ties during the day. And this movie at night, and that's how they filmed that. So
and
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah,
and this was, he did have Family Ties, but in terms of Michael J. Fox and movies too, again, this was kind of his jumping off point.
Yeah,
I think he had Teen Wolf either right before or right after, but
this was the first one. I believe Back to the Future was his first movie.
I can actually look that up right now, real quick.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it was.
Obviously, I don't know why I can't think of his name right now, too. But the actor that plays Doc Brown is just hilarious. I just love him so much.
Christopher Lloyd.
He is hilarious.
Oh yeah, Christopher Lloyd
from Taxi. Great. Great. The first time I ever saw him was the TV show Taxi. Played Reverend Jim.
He was great in Who Saved Roger Rabbit too. He played the villain. So funny.
He's a great actor.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Great actor. Yeah. He's definitely great.
He's great in the movie that I'm going to mention in my honorable mentions. I'll just say that much. But quickly, Rick, to add on to your story as well, they originally did want Michael J. Fox, but they wouldn't let him out of his contract.
They wouldn't let him out.
That's why they had to go to Eric Stoltz. And then they eventually came to that agreement of, hey, he films Family Ties and Back to the Future. I think Michael J. Fox said he got like 2 hours of sleep from when he filmed Back to the Future, had to get up to go do Family Ties. So mad respect to him. And then he had Teen Wolf, which actually was the same year. So Michael J. Fox had a great 1985.
Yeah, that's where, like you said, his career took off from there as far as being in movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, he became a movie star from there. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3 is a Western from 1976, rated PG, which that's probably why I saw it in the theater as a kid. I didn't realize that. So, and also directed by the star. And the star of that movie, and here's the movie, is Clint Eastwood, the outlaw Josie Wales. For me, the best Western that I've seen, let's say. Now, I've seen a lot of good Westerns. That's my favorite. Let's put it that way. That's my favorite.
I haven't seen that one. I've seen a lot of Clint Eastwood Westerns, too. I mean, just that's
a great one.
Good, the Bad, and the Ugly trilogy. Fantastic.
Now, this one is just.
I haven't seen this one yet. I have to watch
his best. His best. I mean, acting wise, there's that sense of humor. Chief Dan George is in there, and any scene with Chief Dan George is funny. So that's something that you wouldn't have expected, really, right? I said best Western ever. Just my notes here. I think also Clint Eastwood, best Western actor for me ever.
Yeah.
Seen a lot
he's
of
up there
Western.
with the Duke.
He's the best
Totally
Western
honest.
actor.
He's up there with John Wayne as the best in my opinion too.
Better than John Wayne. It captures. He captures this movie captures my fantasy vision of what an outlaw in the Wild Wild West was like. You know, what from books I read, like I read a lot of Western books, like Louis L'Amour, Zane Grey, a couple others. I don't really remember their names, but I read a lot of Louis L'Amour and a lot of Zane Grey. Love those guys. Love those kind of books. And I just always loved Western stuff. Like, I think I lived many lives back in those days because I got this fantasy for these period movies and period TV shows. I like that kind of stuff.
If you have, and this is before your time, but you watch The Rifleman if you haven't seen it too. That's a really good Western TV.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen that. You know, I think the guy that was the star of The Rifleman, he was a baseball player, played for the Royals here in Montreal.
He played for the Red Sox and the Celtics. Chuck Connors.
Yeah. Chuck Connors, that's it. Yeah, he played here in Montreal for the Royals.
Yeah, he played pretty good basketball play for the Celtics too, and yeah, he played for the Red Sox and the Royals.
The Royals with Jackie Robinson, I believe.
Yeah,
in those days. So this movie had like the shootouts that you like to see in Western. There was a scene with where he has to go to the Indian tribe that is threatening them sort of because of where they're trying to settle down, and how he gets the trust between them. It's just an awesome scene. Who was the guy that played the chief? I can't remember his name. I think he was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, that big, tall guy. I think it was that guy. Chief Dan George, as I said, was hilarious. I don't know. I always laughed when he was just, that was the humor in the movie. Sense of humor, though, throughout. Clint Eastwood does have a sense of humor in a lot of his movies that comes out in his direction, usually. And it definitely came out for me in this one. I didn't like Sandra Locke. She was his girlfriend, not in the movie. His girlfriend. He liked to do that with some of his co-stars, I guess. I didn't like her in anything, even afterward. Like, she was just horrible. But he was fucking her, so what you do? Standouts in the movie for me, just the two, Clint Eastwood, Chief Dan George. It's a bit long. It was, I guess, for the day, it was like an over 2-hour movie. Just if you like Westerns, you can get lost in it. I can watch that. I think I've seen it probably 10 times. If I'm flipping through or whatever, like in the day when I had TV and not streaming, if I land on that by chance, yeah, I can't stop. I'd watch the movie again, that kind of thing. So yeah, just my favorite Western, and I love Westerns. That's all I got.
Yeah, no, and look, like I said, I mean, Clint. If you want to go back and watch, other Clint Eastwood westerns like that trilogy with the Fistful of Dollars, A Few Dollars More, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I mean, just classic movies.
Oh. No, stop now. Sorry, gotta let my dog and cat out.
Hey, no problem. Matt, if you want to get into your number 3, meanwhile, I think we can do that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, and this kind of stays with the horror genre a little bit. But for me, my number 3 is The Silence of the Lambs, and I put it here because I'm a massive Anthony Hopkins fan. I think he's the greatest actor living right now. I really do. And this was actually too one of the first movies I ever saw. Maybe 12.
Silent. What year did that come out?
91?
90 or 91.
Yeah. But I remember that. I saw that on VHS. Great movie. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I saw it on VHS though. Rented it I rented it.
But yeah, so I mean, just for those who haven't seen it, basically, there's a serial killer, Buffalo Bill. They're trying to find him. So Jodie, and this is actually Jodie Foster's, I think, one of her first, it wasn't her first movie, but it was one of the movies that, again, kind of put her on the map. I think it might have been one of her first
Academy Award nominations.
Yeah, I think she won an Academy.
I think she won it. Yeah, but I think that was it. But I mean, she was on the map already. But still young. But
Taxi Driver, like, what she can really do, like this was.
She was still young. Nobody knew she was a lesbian yet. Like she was still really young.
No, like I said, she was. This was one of the first movies that kind of, I guess, put her in the minds of like everybody. You know, her performance as and I can't remember Clarice Starling, the FBI agent, who was tasked with getting into the mind of Hannibal Lecter, played by Anthony Hopkins. Who, if you haven't seen this movie and seen his performance as Hannibal Lecter, like go see it. It is beyond scary. Like I remember when I first saw this, and I told him, and I looked right at my dad. I said, "If I ever meet him in real life, I'm punching him because he's gonna eat me." Because he was that damn good. He was that damn good.
He'll eat you with fava beans.
I mean, he was that damn good. Like, you know, his mannerisms, the way he spoke in the movie, just, I mean, it's probably the best acting performance I've ever seen.
Just the way he said her name, Clarice. Just the way he said her name was.
Yeah, but again, I mean, that's what Anthony Hopkins does. He's just that good.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins.
And I like pretty interesting. Like I said, trying to pick his brain to catch the serial.
Is that the movie with it puts the cream on its skin? Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so famous, right? That bit there is such a famous meme from the movie.
Oh yeah. But yeah, and then I actually found this out a few years ago. But when the movie came out, Anthony Hopkins actually went to a theater to watch it, and the woman he's sitting in front of is going, "Man, if he was here right behind me right now, I would freak the hell out." And Anthony Hopkins just goes, "I'm right here." Like in the voice. And the woman friggin' jumped like 5 rows. What? Oh my God, it's Hannibal Lecter.
That's funny.
I'm like, yeah, I would have had the same reaction.
Yeah, I think most people would. No?
But yeah, and just what an acting performance. And by Jodie Foster too. I mean, it's two of the best acting performances I've ever seen. And I'll stand on that hill.
Oh yeah,
just so good.
Yeah,
and again, like I think they were gonna get De Niro to play Hannibal Lecter, but it's one of those roles where you can't picture anybody but Anthony Hopkins playing that character.
Yeah, really I'm not sure. Was he the first try? Because I think I saw.
Nope.
Was there somebody else?
I know they wanted De Niro for it.
Is that
I can't remember who else, and then they fell on Hopkins and went him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you say, nobody anybody tries to play Hannibal Lecter like that. No, it's not gonna work.
And even like the scene too, where they have him in the courthouse, and you kind of see, and it's subtle. You got to watch it a couple times to see what he's doing to kind of get to the point where he kills the 2 officers and breaks out. Everything's so subtle, and then he gets them, and then he just starts playing this music while he's cooked. Like it's just what a scene, right? And it really just kind of, shows like how psychotic this guy is, and just how good Anthony Hopkins is as an actor.
Yeah,
I had to put it on the list. I mean, it's just an all-time great. And it won. I mean, they both. I know Foster and Hopkins won Oscars, and the movie I think won Best Picture.
Yes,
it was that.
At the very least, was nominated.
If you go watch that Oscars, Billy Crystal was hosting it, and he came out in the straitjacket with a mask on to open the show.
They were rolling him out on the thing there.
Oh yeah, that was great, just great.
Yeah, that is a great movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely, great film, and I do want to say really quickly, it's very telling that Anthony Hopkins gets nominated and wins for Best Actor. He's in that movie for like 20 minutes. Yeah. He is not in a lot of that film, and he is still the best part of it.
He dominated that film. Yeah.
Oh, without it. And again, that just I mean, again, that's why I put Anthony Hopkins as best actor living right now, and probably 1 or 2 of just all time. Like I think he's right up there with Marlon Brando.
He's right up there with the best.
He's so good.
He's one of those actors that it doesn't matter what the role, he can play it.
Right. Exactly. No, you're exactly right. And Marlon Brando was like that. And I can say Robin Williams to an extent too was like that, right? Like, have you ever seen him in Good Will Hunting?
I don't know.
Or like Dead Poets Society? Like,
I won't. like I think
1
there
hour
are probably
photo.
some roles he couldn't have done, but in general, you're right. Yeah, I'm you know like a Denzel Washington,
Right.
A couple actors they're just not coming to my head. Can play anything, literally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We're down to what number?
My number
second?
two.
Number two.
Yeah. If we're a very awkward transition trying to go away from Silence of the Lambs, but my number two.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh, speaking of, no, that actually is a film that just barely missed my list. I will say I had some other mentions that I love the SpongeBob movie. I will say that I love the SpongeBob movie.
All right,
but my number two, it's a film that
mustaches. Now that we're men,
we can do anything. All right, my number two is a movie that came out fairly recently. It's a 2016 movie. It's one that not a lot of people I feel like have seen, and I think that a lot more people should watch it. Obviously, it's my number two favorite film. It's one that not everybody will be able to relate to the way that I did, because I was at that perfect age where you see this movie. And that movie is The Edge of 17. This is a 2016 movie directed by Kelly Fremont Craig. It's got Haley Steinfeld's in it. Woody Harrelson is fantastic. Haley Lou Richardson plays Haley Steinfeld's best friend. This movie revolves around Haley Steinfeld. She plays I actually forgot the character's name real quick. Nadine. She plays Nadine Franklin, and she's a 17-year-old, kind of awkward in that phase where she doesn't really know who she is. She's kind of going through some stuff. And her brother, played by Blake Jenner, starts dating her best friend. So that only adds complications to what she's going through as a teenager, and it's just very much kind of going through her psyche. It's not a psychological thriller. I'm making it kind of sound that way, but it's more of a dramatic comedy film. It's one that I watched. I was at the right age. I was like 14 or 15 when I first saw this. Totally legitimately. But it's just one of those films where you watch it and you're like, I can relate to this character. I get what she's going through in a way. Not necessarily to the extent of, oh, my family member's dating my best friend, but you get what she's going through and you get the turmoil. Haley Steinfeld is incredibly believable in this movie. It's a shame that she isn't in more dramatic stuff and she gets kind of typecast as more of a teen film actor, because I think she's incredible. I think that she was very well deserving of some type of nomination for this role. I don't think she got anything. This movie got no nominations anywhere. I don't think. It's written and actually written as well by Kelly Fremont Craig. She's incredible in this. Woody Harrelson's really funny. It's a very funny movie overall. It's one of those films that, like a lot of drama and comedies, struggle to kind of find a right balance. They're either leaning too comedic or too dramatic, and they can't fit the other in. This movie does that very well. They balance the drama with the comedy. I think it's a great film overall. It's one of those where the ending leaves you very satisfied. It's a little cliched, I will admit, but it feels deserved. It feels earned the way they get to the ending and how they get there. Yeah, it's just overall a really, really good film, in my opinion. I think if you're around that young adult age, maybe like say late teens, early 20s, I think this is a film that you can watch and you can really, really respect the story that it's telling. And yeah, it's just overall movie. I've seen this movie, like Rick was mentioning. I forgot what Jesus Christ Superstar. You've seen it 150 times. I've seen this movie 150 times at the very least.
175, I said, by the way.
Sorry, 175. I can't hold this movie up either, apparently.
That was hilarious.
The heavy. Are you getting those like lead DVDs? That's what it is, eh?
Oh, it might be. To be fair, Back to the Future is a 4-disc set, so that one has a right to be heavy, but this one's a fucking Blu-ray. But yeah, it's a movie. I love it. I used to put this on every night when I want to go to bed because I know I've seen it. I can put it on, relax, go to bed. Great movie. Check it out. Love Haley Steinfeld. Kelly Fremont Craig. Love that film. Great.
I have not seen it, so I don't have much I can say about it. And is
check it out.
Haley, is she married to Bieber?
No, that's Haley Bieber. Haley Steinfeld is dating Josh Allen. She's on the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, so they're not related whatsoever. It's also completely different spellings.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Anyways, like I said, I hadn't seen the movie. I love Woody Harrelson though.
Yeah.
My actors list, Woody Harrelson's on my actors list. So Love him.
He'd probably be on mine too.
He's another guy who can play pretty much any character.
Yeah, he's played serial killers, he's played goofballs, he's played everything in between. Yeah, he's definitely one of those guys.
De Niro's like that too.
Yeah. There's actors. Great actors can play any role, really. You know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So pretty good. I guess it's my turn for my number 2. My number 2 is a war movie from 1998. It's the only movie that I had here that is not from the 70s, oddly, and that's not on purpose.
Bet you I can guess what it is too.
Kind of worked out. It's a war movie from 98, rated R, of course, starring one of my favorite actors, Tom Hanks.
I knew it.
Saving
Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan.
Oh yeah.
Great movie.
Such a good movie. That's my favorite war movie of all time.
Yeah, probably the greatest opening scene.
Oh,
not only just in a war movie, but I mean in
the D-Day
one of the greatest opening scenes ever. But in a war movie, greatest opening scene. The first 10 minutes, I don't know if it's 10 or 20 minutes. Your mouth is hanging open and you're just watching. You can't move.
I believe it's and I used to know the story of how they filmed that D-Day scene, but it's just every time I see it, it's just mesmerizing.
Yeah,
how authentic it is. Like it really kind of puts you on the beach.
Yeah, you're there. I mean, that's as authentic a war movie has ever been filmed. They tried to make it as authentic as they could, and they did. They really did. War veterans have commented saying that's the most authentic war movie they ever saw.
Yeah, and it's it's with PTSD and stuff, and how important that topic is. Like a lot of soldiers had to leave the theater during that scene because
you can't. It's too authentic.
They just went right back to the actual
it's too real. So
crazy.
Like I said, starring Tom Hanks, he was great. This guy too.
Another one of those actors too, I think, that can play almost any part.
Tom Hanks can play anything. I love this guy. He's probably my favorite actor of all time.
He's right there.
Yeah,
for me as well.
Yeah. Tom Sizemore, great in this role.
Rest in peace. He just passed away.
Yeah, I know, and he was a bit of a jerk apparently as a person, but a good actor. And he was great in this role.
So good.
Yeah, and the other guy was Edward Burns. I forgot to get it. I didn't get a picture of him. I thought I did. The scene there that we're talking about. This is a shot of it. Just crazy. Everything going on, was so realistic. I think that's the only thing I'll show.
Yeah, and it was I think too it had to be within the first couple minutes where they're riding in on the boat and the guy just goes to take a peek and then the first thing you see is his head exploding on
the boat. Yeah. So it starts out pretty much like that with a bang, and it doesn't stop for like 20 minutes to stuff. So I love war movies. Don't know why, but I love war movies. That's the best one ever. Let's see what I haven't said. Direction, Steven Spielberg, great. Cinematography, great. The cast, you go on, and some big names in there in the cast. BC, Vin Diesel. Just some big names in there. Barry Pepper was great.
Matt Damon, who was Private Ryan.
Yeah, Matt Damon. Not my favorite character in there though.
No, I mean, I think for me, I think Tom Hanks's character.
Yeah, and then there's
but again, though, Matt Damon, I still thought was very,
he was good. But then there's the cowardly guy that kind of costs a couple of them their lives. He's an actor in one of my favorite TV shows, and I just put it together and doing this. I go, oh yeah, he's whatever the name is there. So it shows, it gives you the realism of the combat. It shows the brutality of war, on the soldiers and on civilians as well, and the brotherhood of war as well.
Yeah, no, it really does a good job of showing all that, and not just physically. Obviously, you can see the violence on camera, but mentally too. I think it does a really good job of showing that wear and tear that you get on the brain.
Yeah, the mental hardships that they, it shows the price of being in command in Tom Hanks's character, being a leader, being courageous, and being a coward. in the cowardly. You know, it gives you that whole look of what different soldiers, how they act and all that, right? Yeah, so just an as accurate as possible depiction of an historical event. The landing on D-Day on the shores of Normandy. I forget what beach they were on. You know, it wasn't Juneau because that's where the Canadians were, but Omaha. I think it was Omaha Beach.
It was Omaha.
Yeah. So standouts in here: Tom Hanks, Tom Sizemore. I added Edward Burns. He's the guy with the funny voice or the raspy voice, kind of the needle in the side of the commander, always complaining. But Tom Sizemore and Tom Hanks made that movie. They were great, and just a great war movie. I don't know what else to say, but I've seen it numerous times. You know, if it's on, and I see, I'm gonna.
I have I have like a 2-part like limited edition like release of that movie on cassette.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen
a special edition of it. It's pretty cool.
But then that led to Spielberg and Tom Hanks producing the Band of Brothers, which was also great.
Oh, fantastic.
That was great. So, anyways, that's what I got to say about Saving Private Ryan. If you want to see the porno version, Saving Ryan's Privates, we'll do those. We'll talk about that.
Jesus. All right. So away from war,
we're having a Harry. Did you go to look to see if you had that on your show?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
So kind of going away from war. I can't make this list without putting a sports movie on this list. There are a couple of the honorable mentions, but the one that makes this list, and it makes this list really mainly because it was me and my dad's favorite movie. We watched this every year before the season started. And it's the only movie that has ever made me cry at the end of it. It still makes me cry at the end of it. And that's Rudy.
Oh, you mentioned this to us before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. So is my dad. So is his dad. This is based on the real Rudy, the real Dan Rudiger. Obviously, Hollywood took liberties with it. I know a lot of the scenes in this didn't actually happen. But again, it's Hollywood liberties. And it just makes the story more impactful.
It doesn't make the movie any worse or anything. It's just,
Hollywood movie. And it's still, I think, the best sports movie ever made.
I know it's probably a lot of people, like big sports fans like you, would say the same exactly. They would have that as their favorite sports movie.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the story of this kid played by Sean Astin, who's a very good actor. Obviously, you know him as Samwise from The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Or from Stranger Things.
He's, to quote the movie, 5'0" and 100 and nothing, and his dream is to play football for Notre Dame. One of the most storied, if not the most storied, college football programs ever. And throughout the movie, you kind of see his hardships. He struggled with dyslexia, didn't have good grades, but he worked his ass off to get to Notre Dame, and also had to deal with the loss of his best friend. About halfway through the movie, died in an accident at his father's steel mill. But throughout the movie, you sympathize. Anybody sympathizes with that, and you root for him, and then it pays off in the final game where they start chanting his name, and that's when my eyes start getting teared up. And then you see him get out on the field, and he gets the sack. His teammates lift him up. It's just great. It's just such a great inspirational sports movie. Again, based off the real Dan Rudiger, obviously. The big scene that everyone always has stuff to say about is when the players are coming in, putting their jerseys on Dan Devine's desk. Obviously, that didn't happen in real life, but that's added again for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
It just overall, I mean, it's such an inspirational sports movie. I love hopefully his name's on the back here. Charles S. Dutton, who plays the janitor. First of all, fantastic actor in his own right, but his character in this movie, Fortune, was actually based off of, I believe, 3 different people in the real Rudy's life. And I thought he just played that character to a T. Sean Astin, I thought, was great. I do know, too, and I forget who played Dan Devine, but he didn't like how he was the actual Dan Devine didn't like how he was portrayed in this movie, but he understood it because of dramatic effect. But I know for a while he wasn't a fan of it. But yeah, just I mean, it's my favorite sports movie of all time. Great inspirational sports movie. It's always, like you said, Rick. Any big sports person, this is right up there at the top of the list.
Because I've heard this before, like from people that, you know, I don't know in what context, but that Rudy was their favorite movie.
And
so, very inspirational.
Another cool thing, Alicia actually got this for me, and I did kind of almost cry when I got it. But this is the
actual Rudy
signed by the real Rudy. Nice. Really cool. It's in a plastic protective case. I love this.
Yeah, that's nice.
This is one of my favorite pieces of memorabilia. And the real Rudy actually is in the movie. They're in that scene at the end where they're chanting the name, and the camera kind of goes from the football field to Rudy's dad. Right behind Rudy's dad is the real Rudy in the movie, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
And I always love that tidbit. And they do show after they cut to black the actual photo of the real Rudy being picked up by his teammates. At the end, and they do say like Rudy became only the second person ever to be carried off the field at Notre Dame.
I have not seen that movie like all the way through, but I saw the end. Like I've seen that end scene, and I've seen like bits and pieces of it over the years, but definitely saw the end scene of it. Yeah,
and Jerry Goldsmith, I thought his score for the whole movie was fantastic, and he's a name that, you know, if you're a big into movies, like when you hear his name for scores, like they're always fantastic.
Yeah.
Just great. Just a great sports movie. And
awesome.
Like I said, you know, it's me and my dad's favorite, so it was on the list no matter what. I didn't know what place per se, but you know, I like it at number 2, and it'll always stay there.
Awesome. That brings us to round 1. Ding.
Yeah. My number 1 is a movie that I'm hoping I can hold up. Hopefully I don't fumble this one. But this is a movie that I feel like I should explain before I actually introduce it. I saw this in theaters. I was lucky enough that I was able to see this film in theaters when it came out 5 years ago. No, it is not. Thankfully, it is not James Corden. But I saw this movie in theaters. Did not like it all that much when I first saw it, surprisingly. I revisited it, though, because I love the director, Quentin Tarantino, and that might give it away for some people. But I saw it again, loved it, third time, loved it even more, and every time I see it, it keeps getting better and better. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my personal favorite movie of all time. It's weird, I know, but you know what? Hey, everyone's got their own personal favorite. This is mine. I'm sure, as you can tell by the cover, it stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie. Leonardo DiCaprio plays a famous movie star from the 60s, Rick Dalton. It's a fictionalized story, I should say. Brad Pitt plays a stunt double, Cliff Booth. Margot Robbie plays a more fictionalized version of Sharon Tate. And basically the movie focuses in the late 60s. Leonardo DiCaprio was actually, he's not a movie star. He was this TV star on a series, Bounty Law. He basically got the show canceled because he wanted to go do movies. His career's kind of slowly winding down. He's trying to find his way back into films. He's invited by, I believe they mentioned it's Sergio Leone to go do some spaghetti westerns in Italy, or not spaghetti westerns, do the Italian westerns. And he just kind of he ends up basically showing more or less a day in their life. Cliff Booth, or Rick Dalton, I should say. Leonardo DiCaprio's actually, he goes to do a TV pilot for a show. For some reason, the name is escaping me right now. Cliff Booth, meanwhile, ends up interacting with the Manson family, who, of course, that night planned to murder Sharon Tate. I'm not going to reveal anything about the ending, but I will say, for what you would expect out of Quentin Tarantino dealing with the Manson family, it doesn't. It goes where you think it might, but it also subverts the expectations. Again, I'm not going to say anything about the ending, but it is probably the most. It is the best ending for a movie that I could probably think of, especially one relating to the subject matter. And it's weird talking about the ending, and you probably think you can probably imagine what you imagine what you might think the ending is. this is a feel-good movie for me. I will say that much. It's a film where you see this character, Rick Dalton, at his lowest. You see him kind of at his highest points, especially towards the end of the movie. It's a film with a phenomenal cast. Of course, Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie. Emile Hirsch is in this. Margaret Crowley. Timothy Oliphant, I believe is how you say his name.
Right. That's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, he's in this. Austin Butler. I can just name the cast. Austin Butler, Dakota Fanning, Bruce Dern, Mike Moe, Luke Perry, Damian Lewis, Al Pacino. Quentin Tarantino is also technically in this. He has a cameo. Mikey Madison, phenomenal young actor. Actor.
Yeah, I like her.
Maya Hawke is in this. Sadie Sink is in this. For anyone who doesn't know the name Maya Hawke,
I saw it once. I saw it once. Like I kind of like you. I didn't really. It wasn't my favorite movie, so I have to watch it again.
Oh, absolutely have to. For those who might think the name Maya Hawke sounds a little familiar, she's Ethan Hawke's daughter, and I guess you could also say the daughter to Uma Thurman, who is a often collaborator with Quentin Tarantino. Weirdly,
who
Hawke, I believe,
are you still talking about Sadie Sink?
No, Mady. I don't know the fuck name I was saying. Maya Hawke.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and Sydney Sweeney has a minor role in this. She's not like a big character. She has a very minor role. Danielle Harris of Halloween 5 fame also has a small role in this as well.
Yes.
I know Matt's gonna like that reference. Kurt Russell's
that was Mike's niece.
Yeah, huge cast.
Yeah.
Great cast. And it's
Tarantino. Sadie Sink, I know you mentioned too. Obviously, everyone knows her from
Maya Hawke. Maya Hawke, not Sadie Sink.
Oh, okay. I heard Sadie Sink.
Yeah,
I just
still from
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, Sadie Sink.
Yeah. But a great cast. And this is not a film where it's number one just because of the cast. The writing of Tarantino is phenomenal. The way that I need to get this guy's name, the way that Fred Raskin edits this film is poignant. The cinematography is great. There's a scene where you see Cliff Booth. He lives in a trailer, and the way that it shows him driving through the downtown LA like strip or whatever, and it transitions into him going to his house. The way the sound is edited in that scene, even in the theater, I got chills because it gives you that that feature presentation they used to have in the 60s, 70s when you go see a movie at the drive-in. They give you that they're getting ready for the feature presentation. The way they edit the sound as the camera's panning over that is just, I wish I could see this movie in theaters again just for that and to relive the ending, because it is one of those films. I'll watch it. Oh yeah, absolutely. I recommend it. I've seen this movie at least 20 times, and it's a 3-hour movie. So I clearly love this movie if I dedicate 3 goddamn hours apiece to watch this film. It's just one that I'll put on and I just sit back and I love it. It's a love letter to Hollywood and 60s cinema from Quentin Tarantino. Just a film that I can watch, and I probably will watch hundreds of times in the future. I love this movie. Margot Robbie, beautiful. How can you not like this movie? It's fucking Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio as well. How do you not like that already? Well, aside from you, Rick, obviously, because
no, it's not. No, I didn't. It's not like I didn't like it. It just, I guess I was expecting more.
It didn't appeal to you as much as you thought it would.
Right. I have to watch it again. But no, there was stuff in it I really liked. So no, like you say, the cast was fantastic. I mean,
yeah, it was, and I do got to say as well, 3 of my current crushes: Mikey Madison, Maya Hawke, Sydney Sweeney. Any of you want to call me up? Hit me up on Twitter. But
Mikey Madison from, have you seen what's the show? Can't remember the name of it.
I can't hold this
with
one.
Pamela Adlon as her mother.
Imposters.
It's like Stranger Things, but it's something Better Things. If you haven't seen that, she's in that.
I gotta check that one out. Yeah.
Oh,
it's a great cast. Great mix of past talent and the future talent. I think you got to say, just wonderful film. I'm gonna stop gushing about it. I got to give you guys time to talk about your number ones. Just phenomenal film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you've already seen it, watch it again. The fuck's wrong with you? Go watch it again.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm actually gonna do that.
Thank you, Rick.
All right, my number one movie I saw in the theater. Well, okay, first of all, it is an action thriller. Came out in '79, R-rated. It is a movie about gangs. I saw it in the theater. I was alone. It had a real big effect on me. I was 18, and It's not necessarily like my favorite movie I've ever seen, but it had one of the biggest effects on me as a movie, and as a person, I guess. There at the time there was a lot of this fear about gangs and violence from gangs and all that, and that's what this movie is basically about. And I don't know, I guess this city kid who never had to face any of that just got really affected by it. It's called Warriors. If you remember anything from Warriors, probably most people, Warriors come out and play at the end.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure that's probably the signature line from it. But okay, so there's this gang group meeting, all the gangs in the world. You're in the city of New York. You're allowed to send 9 members. They're having this big thing. They're wanting this character Cyrus, and he wants to get all the gangs together to fight against the authorities and the police and all that. While the guy's talking, someone kills him, shoots him. Gets blamed on the Warriors because the guy that I just showed you there, he's the one who did it, and he blames the Warriors. So now they got to run for their lives and try to get back to their turf. They called it in those days. And that's what it's about. It's just them and encountering gang after gang and getting through that and fighting their way through. And kind of like if you ever saw Bruce Lee's Game of Death, where he has to go through the tiers of the pagoda to get to the top and fight all these different. It's kind of like that. And I think that was probably the thought process behind it. Nobody really big in it. Michael Beck, you probably don't know who that is. And James Remar, that's probably the biggest name that came out of there. He was in Dexter, Dexter's father. Dexter, no, not Dexter's Lab. Dexter, the show.
About the serial killer cannibal.
It was directed by Walter Hill, who was a great Western movie director of the day. That type, like the Wild Bunch, I believe, they're like that kind of stuff. What else did I get here? That's it. Violent, action-filled. Just, I don't know. It was more the effect it had on me. It just had this really big effect on me. And I've always loved it ever since then. And I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but if you haven't,
I do want to see it now, though. It's like, it sounds like something that I like.
Listen, it's kind of corny. It's kind of stylistic violence, but I don't know. It as an 18-year-old, it really affected me. And yeah, I mean, it stands up in a way. I've seen it not that long ago, and it was still good. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Warrior.
I'll do that. I've not seen it. Weirdly, one of the movies I own on DVD. I haven't checked it out. I've wanted to for a while.
That's the gang that the good guys walking through the city. There's a fight scene.
Oh,
it was just it was just a good movie. This is the Cyrus there with that's all the gangs there, and right when he's doing that, he gets shot. But very stylistic, but just really, really well done, I guess. Although I don't know, like if you guys at your age, you look back, you watch it and it's an older movie, right? 79. You go, I love watching stand up. Like that. I don't know if it's stand up.
Yeah, I do.
But you guys do like older movies, so yeah, you should like it.
Definitely. So that leaves me. As I said earlier, when Rick talked about The Godfather, I said it was on my list. I didn't say where it was. Now they're at number 1. You all know The Godfather.
Really, number 1.
Wow.
Yeah. So. But it's for a different reason than you might think. So obviously, I took films, a couple of film studies courses in high school and in college. This movie, if you want to learn how movies are made, what goes into a movie, what different aspects, if you talk about lighting, the acting, symbolism, score, this movie is the movie that you look at and break down more than really any other movie.
Yeah. Francis Ford Coppola was like a perfectionist.
Yeah.
He wanted everything to be perfect.
Absolutely. And, for me, the acting. I mean, the acting alone from this man here, obviously Marlon Brando, but I mean also with Al Pacino. And I think for me with Al Pacino, it wasn't because you can look at just his attitude throughout, as he kind of evolved into the boss. You can look at just the way he carried himself. But for me, if you look at his eyes throughout the movie, that's where you really see the big change happen. Because he goes from, obviously, at the beginning of the movie, he's coming back from war. He kind of wants to do his own thing, doesn't want to be part of the family. He's got these bright eyes looking towards a great future with Kay.
Right. Yeah.
And throughout the movie, you see them get darker. You see them get cerebral. And you go, oh, now he's changed from this bright-eyed, how am I, I'm going to have a happy life, to I'm in charge of the boss. These eyes look through you now. They don't look at you. And to me, that was the pinnacle of his performance in that movie. The way just his eyes alone showed that change from this kind of, again, this kid who was looking toward this bright future to now he's a ruthless mob boss who will kill you.
He wanted to be legitimate, a legitimate businessman and all that. And and where that change happened, like big time, was where he shoots the the table there. He goes to the bathroom, gets the gun,
absolutely
shoots the cop and whatever, and then he has to go to Europe. In Europe, he meets somebody. They're gonna get married, and she gets blown up in the car.
And again, you see that going inside. You see that.
That's
change.
where he wasn't coming back from that one.
Right.
He wasn't coming back. That he was forever changed from that.
You're right. And again, you see that change not only in the physical acting, but if you look at his eyes, that's where that big change happens, where
the coldest,
you see the coldness seep into his brain, and you see that in his eyes.
Cold eyes.
And you go, oh, he's going to go back to the States, and he's going to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and he's way out of bubblegum. You know what I mean? Yeah. And but also just the symbolism in that movie. I don't know. Again, I don't know how much you guys kind of know about those different aspects, but if you take symbolism too, anytime you see the color orange, you see oranges, death is being discussed, or someone's killed, or there's an attempt on someone's life. You see it in a lot of the round tables. There's usually a bowl of oranges in the middle of the table. You see it in the scene where they tried to kill Don Corleone, when they tried to kill Vito. He's getting oranges from a farm stand, and then they come out and they shoot him. At the end, he dies. He's running around in an orange patch, and then he has the heart attack.
Right, that's right. With the kid, he sprays him. He sprays him with all this pesticide or something. The grandson or something.
Yeah. He had a heart attack running around in the orange patch. And he just had a heart attack because he was old.
With his grandkid, but he sprays him with that thing, with the pesticides. No. Am I right?
Might have a little bit, but I know. But again, he's in an orange patch.
Yeah. No, I get it, and you're right about the symbolism. 100%.
Yeah.
And just the story of it, like it's just such an epic movie. So many great quotes. Like my personal favorite is "Leave the gun, take the cannoli." When after the Clemenza and I forget who else he was with, they shoot the guy in the car, throw the gun, and Clemenza takes out the cannoli and thing. It's just a great movie, great cast. Obviously, James Caan kind of coming out party as Sonny Corleone.
My least favorite character. He was.
I didn't really like that Sonny character, but again, throughout that movie, you're really enamored with Michael and how he changes.
Yeah,
I thought Robert Duvall was fantastic as Tom Hagen.
He was great.
So
Robert Duvall. Yeah,
so good.
And Talia Shire, as the sister, was great. She was great, and another unknown actress who probably, even though the sister of, I can't remember who's she the sister of a famous, like she's like her whatever, but she was unknown. She was unknown, and then that led to Rocky because she was Rocky's. She's Adrian.
Yeah.
Rocky. Yeah.
I mean, just like I said, I mean, from kind of a film nerd kind of point of view, like the Godfather's got everything in it.
I've heard what you've said before. Actually, I heard that somewhere. Maybe it was. I don't know where I heard
symbolism about
that's a classic movie that if you're studying cinematography and or how to make movies. That's you.
I mean, just the lighting too, right? Like that first scene at the wedding reception, the way that Marlon Brando lit.
Ford Coppola wanted the smallest details to be accurate.
Oh yeah.
Like you didn't need to, but he wanted it all to. That's why it was so realistic. The look of it was so realistic.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said too, like the way they use lighting, the way that Marlon Brando's lit in that scene where the funeral director asks him to kill the guys that are abusing his daughter. Just the way he's lit, right? Like you don't even have to know who he is, what the character is. The way he's lit, you look at it and you go, all right, this guy is like in position of power. He's running the show. Like this is, you don't want to fuck around with this guy. It's just the way that he's lit. It's just awesome.
Yeah, it's such a good movie.
Good
movie. And I saw it. I think I want to say I was probably it came out in 72. So I was 9 when it came out, but I would say I saw that when I was about 13 or 14 on TV. I think it was on TV. And then, of course, I've seen it more than once. But, yeah, so I saw it that young. Yeah. And, just a great movie. You had to, even at a young age, you recognize that was a great movie.
I mean, even like Abe Vigoda, I thought, too, was
yeah, really, I was looking at the cast. I forgot Abe Vigoda, Fish
like,
from
at the end there, too, when they take him off to be killed because he betrayed Mike, you could tell on his face he knew he was going to die.
Yeah.
Like, he knew. Yeah. And it just the way he delivered that line, like it was never anything personal. It was just business. Like it just something like just the details, even in the acting.
Yeah.
Were just perfect.
Yeah, just really great acting. Great movie. You can't say enough about it.
No, I mean you really can. And even some of like the, I know kind of the, that mafia term sleeps with the fishes. No one really knew about it until the scene where they have Luca Brasi's vest on the table with a fish in it. Right, and you kind of learn some of those nuances too.
Yeah. Where'd Harry go?
I don't know.
Because we're going to get into our honorable mentions, which we'll do quicker, but we need our leader down there to come back. Where do you think he went?
I don't know. I do, and again, like you mentioned, the second one, Godfather 2, I thought was fantastic too for a lot of the same reasons. Again,
Godfather 2 was good, and Robert De Niro, you see him in all the flashbacks.
Yeah, when they kind of go back to that storyline of the young Vito coming over,
and how he came to USA and stuff he did back in Sicily.
Like that scene where they kill his mother in Italy.
Yes,
he gets shot with a shotgun and flies about 100,000 feet.
Yeah, and some of the stuff they did back in Sicily.
Like that's where, and again, like the first movie. That scene in Italy with the young Vito seeing his mother get blasted away by the mob boss, you see that turn of, all right, I'm going to avenge my mother. I'm going to go and become the most powerful mob boss that, in that, that sort of world.
Sicily, by the way, not just Italy. Sicily.
Well, Sicily.
That's even worse. They're even, Sicilians are feisty people. All right, Harry, your first honorable mention. We're ready.
Yeah, sorry. I just had to say goodbye to my parents. I just had to know for a bit.
Okay.
My first honorable mention, and it's one that I heavily debated between this and Shaun of the Dead, but I ultimately went with Shaun of the Dead. It's a 1985 comedy that I don't think anybody expected this to be good when it came out. I don't think it has any right being as good as it is or as funny as it is. We're talking about Clue, the movie.
Clue.
Oh, I love that movie so much.
Yeah, of course.
Tim Curry as the butler is one of my favorite acting performances ever.
Oh, yes, he is fantastic. He works his ass off in this. It's a great comedy, of course, based on the board game. And I'm sure when it was announced, people were like, they're making a movie off that, really?
Exactly.
I don't think anybody expected it.
It's pretty good, but Tim Curry.
I saw that on VHS for 85, so probably in 86.
Yeah, it's a hilarious film. If you guys love slapstick, if you guys just love comedy in general,
if you love Tim Curry,
this is Tim Curry, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean, anybody that's in the cast. Oh, yeah. This is a massively underrated film. It is the definition of a hidden gem. I love this movie
too. Like I like the board game. Board game's fun, but
I used to play the board game as a kid. We used to play that all the time. Clue.
Funny enough,
You're
never
drinking
played
the hockey
Clue.
rink with the ice skate.
When it came out, I was like, how the hell are they going to do that? Like, I couldn't figure out how they were going to do this movie.
Yeah,
I don't remember it enough. I saw it, but I don't remember it enough to really.
Yeah. And they did it in I think the best way possible, because I think if you go serious with this, it doesn't work. You have to make it a comedy.
Oh, I agree.
They did it perfectly, and of course the I don't want to spoil much, but the 3 endings they have in this just perfect. I love that.
Right. That had the multiple endings.
Yeah, I love that
part.
I love that when it was in the cinema, apparently each theater got a different ending.
Yeah.
They did not have all 3 until it came out on home video.
I saw it on video, so I got to see that. Like at the end, you watch the different endings.
Yeah, and of course, Matt said it. Tim Curry's phenomenal in this. In my opinion, though, the standout is Michael McKean. I think he is so fucking hilarious in this.
Lenny and Twiggy from Laverne and Shirley, if you know that.
Oh yeah. Also Saul's brother on Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. Also in Spinal Tap, of course.
Yes, that's right.
He's fantastic in everything he's in. Love this film. Christopher Lloyd, another Christopher Lloyd. This is the movie I was talking about earlier when I was mentioning he's great in an honorable mention. Love Christopher Lloyd. Love this film. Again, it's a hidden gem. Please check it out whenever you can. Please.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. Love that movie.
My first honorable mention is a horror movie. Came out in 1978 and surprisingly unrated. I don't know how this was unrated, but it's Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
I saw this when I was, I think, 14. What time this came out in 78? 15. Maybe I was 15. I think I was 15. Saw it in the theater. Just to, I had this. I started reading Stephen King when I was young, and he had a zombie one. I read zombie stories like that, and I was into that kind of thing. And I hadn't seen the original Day of the Living Dead, but I've seen it since. Great movie. The remake was good,
which is rare, right?
Very different zombies. Very different zombies. These are slow and clumsy and funny, but that's the beauty of it. It's funny. Yeah. The zombies are really actually easy to kill, like individually. Mm-hmm. But if you get a bunch of them on you, whatever. And really good gore for the time.
Yeah, Tom Savini, of course.
Yeah, Tom Savini, exactly. So good. I loved it. It's just the story of them, a group of 4 people, escaping on a helicopter from the city to get away from this zombie apocalypse.
Yep.
And they get to a mall and they take over the mall and live there for a while until they get discovered, kind of, and all hell breaks out at the end. And I don't know, just a great movie, even though it's kind of there's a word for it. I don't know the word. Kind of. I mean, maybe you were going to say kind of stupid, and yet it's just great.
Wacky.
Cheesy.
No, it's not the word. There's a word, and I can't think of it. But
I like Ken Foree in that. There's the main main actor. I thought he did a really good job, especially at the end there when he pops out and he's zombified. It's just really cool.
Here's one there, right?
Yeah.
That's from the apartment building early. That there's a scene where the in the apartment building where the guys come in and he blows his head off with the shotgun.
Oh yeah,
that's a classic. I couldn't find a picture of that, unfortunately. And then at the end, one of them gets it.
Oh, of course.
So in the end, basically, they have to escape from the mall because it gets overrun.
He's just got the gun.
Hey? Yeah, he's got the gun dangling off his finger.
Yeah. Not trying to hold it, but it's just there. And
Or the Hare Krishna character. And the one that gets up on with the helicopter, they're fueling the helicopter, and the guy's coming after
chops off
the crates, and then the head gets just. It's funny. It's kind of scary, I guess. Maybe not today as much, but it's funny and it's just.
It's a classic. Yeah, it's classic.
Yeah.
Campy. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, campy. Campy.
Yeah. Anyways, that's mine.
As much as I love Dawn. I think Day of the Dead is just a little bit better. I prefer Day of the Dead slightly.
I don't know. No, not for me. Dawn of the Dead. But I know what you mean. It's a little bit. It's kind of a little bit better. Like not as comically stupid.
As a movie, it's a little better.
Yeah, and the zombies aren't as slow and stupid. I think in Day of the Dead.
No, not really. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference there. Yeah.
I completely get why you'd prefer Dawn. Matt, your turn. Your first honorable mention.
Yeah. So back to kind of the sports theme a little bit. This is a movie that I think any baseball fan had to have seen when they were a kid. If not, then you're just not a baseball fan. Just a really good classic kind of summer movie. You love baseball, you love it. You love James Earl Jones, you love it. The Sandlot.
We talked about that.
This is just one of my favorite movies. It's a great movie to throw on for a movie night. It's a great baseball movie. And to me too, it shows like why like baseball was just so beloved, back in the day. Why kids fell in love with the sport. Why my dad fell in love with the sport. Obviously, I mean, this took place when my dad would have been. I mean, it came out in the 90s, but it takes place in like the 70s. So my dad would have only been like. Well, he would have been like 18 maybe, but again, it kind of even before that. Actually, no, this takes place in the 60s, so my dad would have been a teenager.
That's what I thought.
So it would have been like, oh, this is what it would have been like playing ball back in the day. And just great, just a great movie, and I think that's why my dad loved it because it brought him back to back then. Where that's how they play baseball in the summer. They just find a Sandlot, a field like that to play.
That's a movie that was targeted at kids. It's a kids movie, but it's a good movie for adults because I saw it because of my kids. But they loved it, and we saw it. I don't know. They played it how many times? I've seen that movie.
I must have seen this movie about 200 times. I love it.
Yeah, I've seen it many times because of a kid, not on purpose. But it's a good movie. I mean, that's a really good kids baseball movie, without a doubt. Yeah, good choice.
Baby Ruth, you mean that's the same guy?
And besides, Matt has one of the starring roles as one of the. There's a similarity in the face.
There is a little bit, yeah.
What, Ham?
If you had freckles, I would accuse you of being him.
Yeah. Ham? Great Hambino? I love that scene. Oh my god, that scene when they realize that they play with the ball signed by Babe Ruth, and they just go back and forth with the nicknames. Oh, it's funny. Because I'm looking at that and I'm like, yeah, I would have had the same reaction as Scotty Small's dad. I would have blown my top.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really good movie.
And it's just funny at the end too, where he's like, where James Earl Jones is like, you could have knocked on the door. I would have gotten it for you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this guy's actually a really nice guy. People just know him.
They're all afraid of the dog.
Yeah, and then the dog ends up being like just an awesome dog.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck? It's like, why are you so afraid?
You know what? I saw it as an adult, and it kind of brings you back to that time in your life when you're that age.
Exactly. That's what my dad
really did a good job of that, of bringing me back to when I was that age,
Yeah.
So, yeah. You got a second one there, Harry?
Yes, I do. We're going to a really depressing film, all things considered, since we just talked about The Sandlot. But yeah, there are a lot of mood changes in this video. But my second honorable mention, I was considering this or Punch Drunk Love. I ultimately went with Punch Drunk Love just because, despite the fact that I think I feel more from this movie, I do feel Punch Drunk Love is slightly better. But this movie is still fantastic. It's an incredible science fiction romantic comedy. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This is a film that I've seen this 10, 15 times. I actually just watched it the other night as well in preparation for the list, see if I wanted to put it on. One of the few films where the first time I saw it, I bawled my eyes out for the last 15 minutes of the film. It was one of those movies where it's so beautifully done. Jim Carrey is I do not see him as Jim Carrey. He is just Joel in this film to me. Same with the beautiful Kate Winslet. She is only Clementine to me when I watch this film. I don't see.
I love Kate Winslet. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. She's fantastic. I watch this movie and I don't see any of the actors. I just see them in these roles. It's a great film directed by Michel Gondry and the script by Charlie Kaufman, who also did Adaptation. I know he's done a couple other films. I forget what, but Michel Gondry, great director, great screenplay. Like I said, it has a lot of heart to it. It feels real. It genuinely feels like somehow you went into this guy's mind and you're seeing what he sees. Basically, the general plot, I should probably describe it. It stars Jim Carrey as Joel, who's this guy who ends up just randomly one day skipping work, and he meets this woman named Clementine, played by Kate Winslet, and they end up going out. They start dating until suddenly one thing happens, and he's out of her mind. She has completely erased him out of her mind, and Jim Carrey finds out through some friends of his and decides to do the same because he isn't able to deal with the heartbreak. And the rest of the movie is really just showcasing him in his own mind, in his own psyche, going through the process as these two guys, Mark Ruffalo and Elijah Wood. And
he froze.
It's a great film. Love it. Like I said, it's one of the few films that I've actually ever bawled my eyes out the first time I saw it because it was that real. Love this film. Highly recommend it. If you a little bit of comedy in there, but if you're a fan of some of anybody that I've listed in the film, check it out. Great movie. Yeah, just be warned, you more than likely might end up letting a few man tears out.
When my age, I cry at everything, so I'm used to it now. All right, my second honorable mention is a Western/war movie from 1971. I was telling Harry about this a little bit. I was 8 years old in 71. Now, it's a PG-rated film that I don't understand how it was that. I don't think I saw it when I was 8. I think I saw it 2 years later in the theater, and don't know how this movie lasted that long, so it's kind of murky, but I'm pretty sure I was 10. It starred James Coburn and an actor probably a lot of you guys never heard of, but a great actor, Rod Steiger. And it was called Duck, You Sucker. Now, I bet you a lot of people have never heard of this movie. How do I describe it? It's Rod Steiger is this great, the biggest Mexican outlaw, I guess, bad guy. And James Coburn loves dynamite and blowing things up, rides a motorcycle, that kind of thing. And they somehow get together and they try to rob a big bank, I think in Spain. And they're dealing with the army, whatever it is. I don't know. I think German. I don't know how that would be, but a German bad guy, soldier, leader of whatever. There's a train. There's all kinds of stuff like that. It's just a really good story of that time. I love Westerns. So I was young. I was seeing this movie with my dad, which was kind of weird at the time to do that. And it had a big effect on me. I think that's the main reason. But it's a good movie. Great actors. Just a really good movie. I don't know who directed it, but it'll get to you at the end there. There's a scene with kids get killed in something. I forget how. And it just, it just does all the emotions, and a great Western. One of those good movies of that era that, it really, how do I describe this? Just good movie making that kind of takes you away from the world and you get involved in it. And I don't know how else to describe that. But Duck, You Sucker, you might have seen it as Fistful of Dynamite. Same movie. Great movie.
See, Fistful of Dynamite, I've heard of. So that's...
Yeah, I saw that because I saw it on TV once, and like A Fistful of Dynamite. Oh, it's the same two guys. Let me watch it. Going, that's the movie I saw like when I was 10. Oh, okay, they changed the name. I didn't know. A good movie.
Yeah. So I have another honorable mention. Kind of back in the mob movie type genre, but this movie I love. Again, I mean, the acting's great. I love the story behind it too. And again, just another movie that I just really enjoyed watching with my dad, and that's A Bronx Tale.
I knew you were going to say A Bronx Tale. I knew it. A Bronx Tale, great movie. Chaz Palminteri.
Yeah, and so It's actually based on Chaz Palminteri growing up in New York.
Yeah.
So the character of Colegino, the kid, is Chaz Palminteri when he was a little.
The one kid that they shoot in the foot.
Well, no,
you shoot him in the foot, or
De Niro's kid in the movie. That character.
Yeah.
That's based on Chaz Palminteri when he was growing up.
I thought he got shot in the foot when he's serving them he's like playing waiter.
No, you're thinking of Goodfellas.
Is that Goodfellas? I'm something.
Yeah, that's Michael Imperioli in Goodfellas.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But I've seen
and then they have to kill him.
a couple of times.
De Niro's like, "Are you stupid or what?"
I've seen Bronx Tale a couple of times, at least a couple of times on pay TV back when it first started up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, okay. I'm just confusing the two of them, but it's similar. Something similar to that happens in that movie.
I mean, I don't. It's been a while.
How he gets accepted because he wants to be a mobster, but he's a kid.
Right, and his dad, and I love that dynamic between Palminteri and De Niro. Right at the beginning, when like De Niro doesn't want his son anywhere near it, and Chaz Palminteri is like, "Well, come on." I mean, he's making money, and it's a great dynamic.
Yeah.
And then throughout the movie, there's different themes. There's that theme of fatherhood, and obviously at the end, after Palminteri's character is dead, and De Niro kind of has his little inner monologue where he's like, really thankful that that Sonny kind of raised Colegino kind of better than than De Niro thought he could have, and then also kind of that theme of racism back in the day, right? Because Colegino falls in love with this African American girl,
right?
And and they have to deal with that dynamic. It's just a really, really well made movie.
Yeah.
It shows those themes very well. I really like it. I thought the acting performances are great.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I remember I've seen it a few times because of it was on paid TV. All right, well, we got through this first episode. Look at that.
Yeah, we did. We got through this, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much to Rick and Matt of Talking Habs for coming by, hanging out a little bit, talking some movies for almost 2 hours. Did not expect this to go that long, but hey, you know what? I had fun. I hope you two did as well. I hope you guys watching also had fun.
That's the main thing, that they had fun.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you guys want to see more, hit that like.
Get in the comment section. Let us know if you have share any of these movies on your list, or if you have your own different list. Love to see it. Let us know your list. Let us know what top 5s you'd like to see from us in the future as well. That'll be all. Don't forget to do that, and check out Rick and Matt over on Talking Habs and Don't Puck with Media. Again, links for that will be in the description. Both these guys will be live over. I know Rick will be live, but I believe Matt will be as well, live on Talking Habs channel for the NHL Draft Lottery. I'll be live on this channel.
Yep.
If you guys want. Yeah. Oh, we good?
Yeah, no, because you were freezing up. I don't know what you asked.
Oh, sorry. No,
this is Billy.
Live on your channel for the draft lottery. I don't know if Matt's going to be joining you, but
I'll be there.
Oh, perfect. And then I'll be live over on this channel, so you guys can check us both out. Please do so. Support all everybody that's on this. I guess you call it podcast if you want. Yeah, you get different flavors, different reactions to the draft lottery.
Yeah.
So like we said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hit the like, comment, let us know what you guys think. Let us know your top 5, all that good stuff. Check out the links in the description, boys. Again, Talking Habs, Don't Puck with Media, all that. The rest of my usual links down there. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Horace, from Rick, Matt, and myself. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Horace, and I'm out. Love you guys. See you guys. Bye, guys. Bye.
Ciao, everybody.